Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a public speaking confidence hypnosis session for a client that had made incredible progress originally when she reached out to me feeling existential dread was the words that she used at the prospect of doing certain training sessions, either in person or remotely over Zoom. And at the very beginning of our client session today, used the word liberated. She felt liberated that she'd banished that anxiety, that dread that she felt before. But anxiety can be, let's say, scared away temporarily, but it doesn't go away permanently unless you make hay while the sun shines. So avoiding that complacency is really important when you're making progress. So I asked her, I said, what would now be outside of that comfort zone? And because she'd never really thought about it, she didn't really know what that would be. So I suggested things like, speaking at a Toastmasters event or a public speaking event, or let's say doing a live YouTube or a live other social media like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And her facial expression immediately went to discomfort. And that's the clue to something being outside of the comfort zone, is that the prospect of it feels daunting. It feels uncomfortable. If it doesn't feel daunting or uncomfortable, then you know it's inside the comfort zone. If it feels uncomfortable, then it is. But the payoff of doing something outside of the comfort zone is that the comfort zone expands. And there's a couple of metaphors used in this particular hypnosis session. One is inflating a balloon, that the balloon can never go back to the original size that it was before it was inflated. And that tends to mirror what happens when you expand a comfort zone. And the second is stretching, because this particular client was really into yoga and that kind of well-being where there's lots of stretches involved. So that was a good frame of reference for this idea that if you really stretch, let's say, the hamstrings in your legs, so you can easily touch your toes and even, let's say, have your nose touching your knees, it's then very difficult, if you can do that easily, to feel any kind of discomfort just touching your toes, because you've got a level of flexibility beyond the discomfort. For someone that's never touched their toes before, that might be outside of their comfort zone for that thing. So the fitness analogy really helped her to imagine what it would feel like to do things outside of her comfort zone. Things like talking in these kind of chat rooms like Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces where you can talk on a topic, that felt outside of the comfort zone. So then that becomes a goal, and then hosting one of those things or doing a YouTube live, even if the audience isn't very big. And if you continue to expand your comfort zone in all these different areas, then it's highly likely that the original things that gave her a feeling of dread, like just talking to colleagues in her workplace, it would be almost impossible for her to feel anxious at that prospect when she's gone so far beyond outside of her own comfort zone. It's got too big. So although this is about public speaking, this approach is good in almost any context of life, whatever you feel daunted by doing. So if you lack confidence, that might be introducing yourself to someone new, or if it's in the world of dating, asking someone on a date. If it's outside of the comfort zone, then you do it until it's inside of the comfort zone, and then it banishes that fear from that point onwards. So hopefully you find this useful. Obviously, it was created for a specific individual. Not all of the suggestions are going to be right for you. So if you feel like you would benefit from a bespoke hypnosis session or just working with me on whatever is important to you, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule a completely free consultation call to explore working with me just to see if there's synergy. No obligation, you don't have to work with me, but just to explore the possibility. For now, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, feel a sense that you're letting go of perhaps tension, worries. Feel that tension leaving your body in your outward breath. And then as you breathe in deeper than you normally would. Feel your chest and diaphragm expand. Feel a feeling of resourcefulness. And as you exhale, just allow that breath to leave your body, but breathe out for longer than you normally would, until your lungs are completely empty, so that on the next inward breath, you breathe in even deeper than you did before. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you become. And the more relaxed your body becomes, the easier it is to harness your imagination. I want you to think back to a specific time where you were cycling towards a picnic. Maybe it was a sunny day, blue skies. Imagine feeling the sun on your skin. And maybe there was a picnic blanket, food. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to feel the motion of cycling towards the location of that picnic. Maybe feel a breeze flowing across your face, maybe your arms. Imagine your legs moving and pedaling, and feel that you are approaching the ideal location for a picnic. Imagine having a beautiful, large blanket, spreading it out there, perhaps close to a nearby river. And just imagine there's a windmill not too far away. Perhaps there was other people with you on the picnic. But in this moment, just imagine you're there all alone. And adopt within your imagination a relaxing yoga pose on the picnic blanket, staring into the center of the windmill. That same breeze that you felt while cycling. Imagine that breeze is spinning the windmill around and around. Sometimes you look at the center, sometimes you look at the edges, but just imagine your eyes following the direction of the windmill. And in the same way that when people look at something that moves, sometimes a flickering fire, sometimes clouds in the sky, they can drift off to a place where their imagination becomes even more activated. So I want you to use that power of your imagination to imagine your body becoming more and more relaxed, to keep staring into the windmill, feeling that you're getting lost in your own thoughts. And I want you to think of those things that stretch or expand. Imagine a child's balloon being inflated. The balloon, when it's never been inflated, is quite small. It requires effort to expand the balloon. But if the air was released, the balloon can never go back to the same size it was before. Imagine someone new that's never done yoga or stretching before. They might struggle to touch their toes. But the moment they touch their toes for the very first time, it becomes easier the second time. And the moment they can place their head touching their knees, it's unlikely to ever be a struggle for them to go back and just touch their toes. Sometimes a stretch can be uncomfortable if you've never stretched that way before. But what if the discomfort is there to let you know you are on the edge of your comfort zone? The same stretch day after day gets easier and easier because the body is adapting to the stretch. And I want you to think that your emotions work in a similar way. That if you did something just outside your comfort zone, you are stretching the comfort zone. The process of stretching that comfort zone may feel uncomfortable, as it should. But if you keep stretching the comfort zone in the same area of your life, it will reach a point, just like stretching a tendon or a muscle, that it is no longer uncomfortable. And a deeper, longer stretch is required to get the same level of discomfort that was experienced before. I want you to think about your comfort zone when it comes to speaking. Think back to those things even recently that felt uncomfortable, and then relive that experience of liberation when what was outside the comfort zone suddenly crossed the threshold and became in it. Not because the thing itself moved, but because the comfort zone expanded. And I wonder what else lies outside that comfort zone. I want you to think of ways in which you could use technology to feel comfortable doing uncomfortable things. Imagine finding somewhere where you get to talk to people online about different topics. Maybe chat rooms and Twitter spaces. Imagine finding a topic of discussion that you're knowledgeable or interested in, registering, and then interacting in that environment. Maybe uncomfortable at first until it isn't. And then imagine it's not too long before you're hosting your own spaces or chat rooms. You're the moderator, the chair, it's your topic. Maybe you invite other guests, or maybe you just see who turns up. And that is outside of your comfort zone until it isn't. Keep feeling that the comfort zone is stretching outwards. And the more it stretches, the more a sense of confidence you feel. Maybe even excitement when you know you're about to do something just beyond the boundary of your comfort zone. And each and every time you do something, feel like you're experiencing a wonderful sense of pride and accomplishment, a sense of deep fulfillment, that you are stretching the very area of your life that would give you more confidence, a greater sense of capability, to feel unfazed by similar things in the future. Some people operate from the philosophy that if they can't, then they must. A philosophy of stretching, that if they discover something of interest or importance just beyond the comfort zone, that's the very thing that becomes the most desirable thing in the world to do. And then imagine drifting forward into the future, and imagine doing your very first YouTube live. And maybe nobody turns up for that very first live broadcast. But it may feel outside of your comfort zone anyway. In which case, the topics may change, the timing may change, but each time the comfort zone is stretching outwards and outwards, like a giant balloon, only inflating outwards. Imagine doing several YouTube lives until maybe the audience grows, or maybe it just doesn't faze you anymore. And maybe you try a different live platform like TikTok. Maybe you find a topic that you're curious about, interested in, or just knowledgeable on. And maybe just talk for 2 or 3 minutes and then stop. And then the next time, 3 or 4 minutes, and then stop. And then 5 or 6 minutes and then stop. Each time feel you're stretching a little bit further than the time before. That you're becoming more flexible. Not in your body, but in your confidence. That your comfort zone is expanding. And then maybe you do something live in front of real people. Maybe the kind of environment where people practice short speeches. Imagine doing that. Maybe feeling daunted at first, and then you continue until there is no anxiety whatsoever. And then it may be that sooner or later you feel an urge to do something where you already have connections. Maybe Instagram, maybe Facebook. And imagine perhaps staring into a webcam or into your mobile phone and talking for a few minutes and seeing notifications that people you know are joining your live discussion. And if that feels uncomfortable, then the stretch is working. Imagine the frequency increases Imagine the duration increases until it reaches a point. We're doing live stuff on social media, unless you have a good reason to do it, loses its appeal because it's too easy and comfortable for you. Imagine that time, that you can do it whenever you choose, and that it becomes more about discernment than comfort zones. The question is not can you do it, but does it make sense to do it? And feel how you would feel if you reach that point. And then imagine doing something way beyond your comfort zone. Maybe months, maybe even a year out there in the future. Maybe an interview on live TV. Maybe a high-profile podcast with thousands and thousands of audience. Maybe doing something just for fun, like improv or stand-up comedy. Not because you want to be funny. You want to see how far you can stretch your comfort zone so that almost everything to do with communication exists within your comfort zone. And if your unconscious mind feels that that would be a desirable place to be, let me know by nodding your head. And you get to choose how quickly you expand that comfort zone and what you do to maintain it so it doesn't contract. But it can always expand faster than it can contract. It would take years for it to contract anywhere close to where it was before. And in any moment, you could just do something, like a live broadcast on social media, to just expand it all the way out again. Maybe there's some stretches that you haven't done for a few months, but you can still stretch further than a beginner that's never stretched that tendon or muscle before. Your resting flexibility is further than people that have never done that thing. So imagine stretching your comfort zone to a level where all of those work-related things that could happen feel towards the center and not the boundaries of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone has expanded so much. Start to imagine yourself in your future 2 years from now. That anything you wanted to do in the realm of communication feels effortless. Maybe even a speech to hundreds, if not thousands of people. Feel that that is also deep within your comfort zone. See a face that is gleeful and satisfied every single time the comfort zone expands, creating a desire to expand it even more. And maybe at the point where the comfort zone struggles to expand anymore, don't be surprised if you actively look for a different area of your life where you can expand that comfort zone again and again, because it feels just so good to do that. You will have a future of ever-increasing confidence, pride, accomplishment, fulfillment, and incredible levels of satisfaction, but also becoming an inspiration to the people that are looking at you and maybe thinking, if they can do it, I can too. You open up possibility trees opportunities that you never knew existed by increasing the comfort zone and seeing opportunities flow towards you. Not because you sought out those opportunities, but because you allowed these opportunities to flow towards you, because the opportunities required skills that were completely inside your comfort zone. Expanding your comfort zone gives you more confidence, more opportunities, a deep sense of self-pride, and the ability to steer your life in the exact direction you desire it. So as you hold that thought, feel yourself returning back to that picnic blanket, staring into the windmill, seeing it rotate again and again. As you decide it's time to leave this space and come back to your reality, as you imagine packing up that blanket, cycling back, perhaps close to a river, until you feel like you're returning back to the present moment, the here and now. As you now take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, connect fully into the present moment, feeling a huge desire to make hay while the sun shines, to expand your comfort zone, and to continue to make even more progress. Starting to count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.